We're live. Good evening. Well, and I say good evening, but we might have lots of people joining us from the west coast of the States today, which is wonderful. Lucky you. But welcome to Food for Thought Live. My God, it's probably, what are we now? 2024. I think it's probably 2 years, maybe 3 years since we did a Food for Thought Live broadcast, and you guys will know just from the fact that we Giles and I did a broadcast a couple of weeks ago to just announce the fact that we're releasing our film on the 1st of January, and that we'll be doing a series of broadcasts between now and then. And here we are with the first of them. And I'm so excited about this one. This is one of those things where the stars align. The universe has set this one up for us. And I couldn't be more thrilled to be introducing you to my guest this morning, wherever in the world you are. I'm just so excited about having this conversation. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Maria Bertrand. Maria, good evening. Good morning, in fact, to you.
Good morning. 11 a.m. here. Good morning. Yeah. Good evening
You're
to you.
in LA, right?
I'm in LA, yes.
Lucky you. Well, welcome to Food for Thought Live, and thank you so much for doing this. It's just an absolute pleasure to meet you.
Nice to
Guys,
meet
you all
too.
know when we do these broadcasts, often I know the guests, and we have history, and whether it's the Born Free Foundation, or whether it's Compassion in World Farming, or whether it's the amazing Rory Young with all the work that he was, all of the 24 episodes we did previously. Maria and I have never met. We met about 3 or 4 minutes before we started this live broadcast, didn't we? We haven't planned anything.
Nope, we haven't planned anything. But what we did find out, but that Dan just made me aware of, is that we have the same birthday.
We share a birthday. Although I imagine I'm probably about 25 years ahead of you. But we won't go into that. We won't go into that. But yeah, we have a lot in common, actually, folks. And I couldn't be happier to welcome Maria to this broadcast, because as you're going to discover as we get into this conversation, the reason we're talking is because of something we share in common, more than just a birthday. And with that in mind, and before we get into a conversation, and Maria, perhaps I'll just ask you in a moment to just introduce yourself in whichever way you would like to introduce yourself, because I don't know you apart from your birthday. But what I will say, as always, folks, is please, we're so delighted to have you here for a start. Always, Alison, good evening. Nice to see you as always. We're so happy to have you here, and we always appreciate your engagement. So if you're watching this on Facebook or on YouTube, we can see your messages and your comments. And so feel free to jump in. Feel free to ask any questions you have of Maria as we get into this. I'm sure you'll have many. And we may even get a surprise visitor.
We may.
We might just get a surprise visitor, mightn't we?
We may.
From
we
Maria.
may. Yeah.
While we wait, hey Ariana, nice to see you. While we wait for this potential surprise visitor, would you like to introduce yourself and just tell everyone a little bit about you?
Sure. Well, my name is Maria Bertrand. I am a filmmaker, or storyteller, I prefer to say, because I also enjoy, I've written articles and I have a children's book out. But oh, hello. I love these comments that come in. Hi. Hi, Ariana. So I've been really focused on filmmaking the last 3 years, and I have a documentary that is currently doing a festival run. Scotland, one of my biggest donors for my documentary is Scottish, and his name is Gerard Butler.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Funny enough, he's just a big love bug and so sweet, and I adore him to the moon and back.
Wonderful.
But so I have a documentary. We're actually screening tomorrow at the Newport Beach Film Festival. The documentary is called Finding Happy. And where that all came about is through my love of animals. I found a tiny baby sparrow during the pandemic after I lost everything. Long story, horrendous. And he is the centerpiece of this documentary. His name is Happy. He has a damaged beak, which makes him look like he's smiling. And yeah, so I have this feature-length documentary that was made over the last 4 years. And it's spreading a little, there we go. Yeah, it's spreading a little hope and kindness and love. And it's a story of connection and happiness told through unique human-animal bonds, centered around my bond with my rescue sparrow named Happy.
See, I told you you're going to love Maria. I mean, what a story. And I mean, this is insane to me, because it's just such a like, it touches. I know I'm speaking for a few people on this broadcast as well, some of the guests, the names that are appearing, and I'll just keep on sharing because I love seeing where all of you guys are joining from. Welcome, Jill. All of those folks that you're seeing the messages come through from, Maria, these are like-minded people. We're lucky here that we're in this group of people who feel the same way as us. Mm-hmm. And I can confidently say us because I know from what you've just described and what I've seen of your project that you feel the same way. Can you guys imagine that Giles and I went live 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, to say we're going to be releasing the film. Maria doesn't even know Giles. Giles, by the way, Maria, is my co-director and my dear friend with whom I've made this film of ours. Wonderful. Which we'll talk about another time. And we literally just got on a live broadcast like this a couple of weeks ago, and I said we're going to be meeting people in the run-up to the release date of January 1st. And I didn't have any plan. You know what I mean with that, because we didn't have a plan for this. And I'm flying by the seat of my pants with that as well. And all of a sudden, our mutual friend Kelly, who is your co-producer, I think, over in
she's my producer. Producer for the film, and a close dear friend of mine. Yeah. Right.
And Kelly reached out to me to say, I think you need to meet Maria, and I wondered if you'd like to set up a broadcast. And here we are. That's how that happened. The universe just did it for us. But as you guys can hear from what Maria just explained, I mean, what an incredible gift for us to be able to talk to you tonight, Maria. Just, I absolutely fell in love with the film. I've got the trailer. I'm a little bit concerned about playing it because I'm almost more inclined to say to people to go watch it, because I know that when we play back on these live broadcasts, it's a bit clunky with the video. I don't want to do it an injustice, because it's such a heartfelt, beautiful, heartwarming trailer. I just wish that I could be at Newport tomorrow to see the screening, which I couldn't, even if I was, because it sold out.
It did.
Congratulations.
It did. I found out yesterday that it sold out, and it's 120 seat theater. I mean, and this is a documentary that started when I say I lost everything, I lost everything. I was renting a room and living in a room, and I came home to that house with a little baby day-old sparrow in my hands that was injured, thinking, oh, I'll just give him a place to pass. But I was living in a room, but it's insane. It's so incredible because the amount of connection I felt to other people around the world, having this little being that I was sharing with people. I think people were so yearning for just connection, and also hope. And Happy gave them hope because he just wanted to live. He wanted to survive, and he beat all the odds. And so I was getting messages from around the world from people who were saying, like, I'm going through chemo right now and I can't see my family, and Happy made me smile today. I mean, messages that would break your heart and put it back together in 3 seconds. And I realized that I started doing daily dose of Happy, where I just would post to try and make people have a bit of a better day, just anything. So that's how it's beautiful.
How beautiful. I mean, what an endeavor. And what a incredibly valuable, powerful, authentic reason to want to share that as well. And look at what it's led to. It's incredible, which we'll learn more about, obviously. But can you tell me how you actually stumbled upon Happy? How did that happen?
Sure. Like I said, I had just gone through a breakup, and oh my goodness. Did you hear your name? God. You come over here and poop on my shoulder.
Oh my God.
So this is Happy. Hello. Hi, Rudy. Hi, who's that?
Happy. It's so good to meet you.
So you can see that his beak is different to most sparrows.
Let me give you full screen for a moment here. If I can.
Let's see. So he kind of looks like, oops, there we go. Like he's smiling. It looks like he's an avatar. Whoops, Happy.
He's such a little angel.
He's definitely my angel. I mean, I call him my, hello, Happy. I call him my miracle that fell from the sky, because he saved my mental health. He saved everything about me. And he's just such a gift and a treasure. We have a way to communicate. It's unbelievable. He has taught me. He's my biggest teacher in this lifetime so far, for sure. That is for sure. And I would, at the beginning of the pandemic, I went through a breakup, rented a room with friends for 2 months, and then the pandemic hit and everything shut down. I lost all my income overnight. I lost, oh my gosh, my heart and soul. My dog was dying. And I just, where do you go from there, right? When you already feel like you have nothing to hold on to. And I found this little guy. I would go for one run a day, and I found him 2 blocks from the house I was staying at. And he was just this little pink, he looked like a crab, and a bird was pecking the top of his head.
Oh, wow.
And it was an adult sparrow. And one of the things some animal experts think that why that may be is because of empathy. Because if a bird's not going to make it, he wouldn't have made it in the wild. He had a huge scab covering his beak, that they actually will kill their young if they're not going to make it, out of empathy. I believe that to be true. I'm not going to tell anyone else what to believe, but I know enough and have spent enough time with animals to understand that they have the same range of emotions that we do. So their ability to process and understand and perhaps show empathy on that level might be even greater than ours. So that's how I found him. And then I've always communicated with animals. My mom, who's sitting here, she just flew in from Montreal. She will tell you that I've always had an interesting connection with animals, and even snakes, all of the animals. So I started really connecting with Happy and started playing fetch with him. He would bring things back. I mean, he's like a tiny, tiny flying puppy is the best way I can.
Oh, I love it. Well, he's really captured everyone's hearts on this this broadcast, I can tell you. And it's so, I mean, what a beautiful story. And to then take that, I mean, I want to ask you so many questions, because, you know, when you say that he's been your greatest teacher in life, and I can relate to that in certain ways with animal connections and bonds that I've made over the years. 100%, I can relate to that. And it's profound the way in which they can achieve that silently, or at least certainly not speaking the same language as us, but speaking directly to our hearts. And I'm also just fascinated and in awe as well of the fact that this has then led to a story which is Finding Happy, which is the film which explores that incredible unique bond between that connection between people and animals, and how you've gone and found other people who've experienced the same thing and have the same thing. It's what an incredible launch pad for that to have happened. It's amazing.
Yeah. And I've been a writer, a screenplay writer for over a decade without even, yes, Allison, every day, the gratitude I feel for having him in my life, the privilege is not lost on me. That's for sure. That is for sure. But as somebody whose passion and purpose all lies in storytelling, for me, I feel like stories are one of the most powerful things we have on this planet. The stories we tell ourselves shape who we are. The stories we choose to believe shape what we do. The stories that we watch, that we share, they perpetuate a message. They perpetuate messages to other people. And so storytelling is so powerful and so unbelievably special that it's been a huge passion and purpose of mine. And I've been screenplay writing for a decade without even being able to get my foot in the door to make something that I feel has some messaging behind it or whatnot. And then lo and behold, this little bird falls out of the sky and into my life, and everything just kind of flows from there. And it's insane. I have a children's book out too on Amazon, and I've gone to speak at schools in front of kids because of Happy. And I spoke in front of 500 kids in Toronto, and I got there. It's like so heartwarming. The kids had these t-shirts that say Happy Ambassador. And I was just like, oh my gosh. Yeah. And I got to speak about grief and processing and the healing power of animals. So what a magical gift to speak to little kids in kindergarten about the magic of animals and what they can do and just who they are. So it's special, very special. Yeah.
It really is. And it's, as Lata just said, storytelling is so impactful, especially, as you say, when the younger, the better.
Yes.
It's really starting to instill that respect and love for animals in them at an early age, which is something that I feel very strongly about, not just because I happen to be an animal lover, but because I've always felt very strongly that compassion isn't species specific. So if
Right.
somebody learns compassion, be it aimed at a sparrow or a puppy or anything else, it's not like they'll switch compassion off for different things. Everyone and everything wins if compassion is in. And I think compassion is also inherent in children, and it's nurturing that rather than teaching it, isn't it? It's just kind of, it seems to be something that's conditioned out of us as humans as we get older, and which is desperately sad, but what an incredible way to do.
Yeah, we're taught to compartmentalize compassion and compartmentalize kindness, and I think those are two things that really shouldn't be compartmentalized.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I imagine, actually, let me ask you this question first. I just wanted to ask you about some specifics with the film, but I know one thing that people are going to be wondering, whether it's our friends in Scotland, here in the UK, we've seen Belgium, we've seen Germany. We always have people from all over the world, and it's wonderful. I love that. Thank you again for joining us. I know everyone's going to want to see this film. What's the plan? In fact, especially the UK, because I'm going to get selfish about this now. When can I see this film?
You know, it's funny. Happy's followers. So Happy's on Instagram and socials as Happy the Sparrow. Yeah, he's all over. You can follow Happy the Sparrow on socials and get updates on the film. But he hit most of a lot of his followers. I think it's the second largest amount of followers are in the UK. So we need to do something there. Yes.
All right. Let's get this on there at Happy the Sparrow.
Yeah, at Happy the Sparrow on his socials and everything. So yeah.
Boom, socials. I love it. I wonder if he's the only sparrow with social media.
He is not, but he's the one with the most followers.
That's what we like to hear. Let's get this on there right now. There you go, folks.
Oh, perfect. At Happy the Sparrow. Yeah, you can see his antics. You can see how he comes when I call him, how he understands words. And much like a dog, sometimes he'll be a little ornery and be like, I'll call him and he'll be in the bedroom and he'll be like, and he won't come. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how rude.
How amazing. I find it fascinating because I'm in, right? I mean, I'm all in when it comes to animals and the things that you've just said about the sentience and the empathy and compassion, and I'm 100% in. But even me, I'm guilty of why would I think to myself? Why would I be so amazed at the fact that a sparrow communicates with you? Why wouldn't a sparrow communicate with you? Right. And I'm going to multitask right now because I'm going to get onto Instagram. Get on Instagram, folks. Happy the Sparrow. Let's all follow Happy.
Yeah. And you can see the trailer on there.
Say again.
You can see the trailer on there.
There you go, guys.
Yeah.
Happy the Sparrow. 135,000 followers. Oh my God. Okay. There you go, folks. Get yourself onto Happy the Sparrow on Instagram. Right? Is he elsewhere? Is he on Twitter or anywhere else?
He is on. I know. On Twitter. He should be on Twitter, but now X. So I don't know. He's on Facebook. He's on TikTok. Instagram is where I post the most. My bandwidth with making movies, and I just wrapped on another movie that's a completely separate movie. But it's a scripted feature that has nothing to do with animals, but it's super fun. It has good messaging, but in a fun, comedic way.
It pays the bills as well.
Well, that we did it ourselves as well. So unfortunately, not yet, but that's okay.
Bills.
Very cathartic to make and super fun.
Good for you. That's amazing. Because I know from personal experience, as do the people watching, that Food for Thought, which is the name of it's the name of this. In fact, look, should we brand it? Should we get some branding on?
Yes.
Where we are. Here we are. Are we here? Where's my branding? I mean, I don't need to do this. I don't know why I would. Let's see what it looks like.
Oh, perfect. Yes, absolutely. That should be there.
So Food for Thought is the name of the film. Hence, it's the name of the broadcast. And actually, the broadcast started because of the pandemic. The pandemic kind of shut down production for quite some time, for obvious reasons. And so for that reason and many others, I know where you're coming from in terms of I know how much it takes to get a film done. So for you to be getting 2 films done, we're about. I was embarrassed to admit this. even with the pandemic being a delay, we, in fact, Jim Greenbaum is in the film. We were over in LA in 2018, I think, filming with Jim.
Nice.
And here we are in 2024. So it's been a long time. So congratulations on getting not just one, but 2 films out in quick succession. That's quite an achievement.
It's and these it's so funny because somebody at the Newport Beach Festival yesterday asked me how long it took to make the movie, and I was like, well, I started in 2020, so I was like 4 years. They're like, oh, I guess that's not long for a documentary. I was like, I guess not. Then I started thinking about it, and the scripted feature I just wrapped on, my writing partner and I wrote the first draft of that over 12 years ago. So it takes time and it takes a village to make a movie and tell a story and tell it right. Yeah.
100%. And what I think what's largely invisible to the public, I mean, I suppose it's kind of obvious when you think about it, but what makes a film happen faster, if it happens faster, is you've got that village, as you say, which it takes to make a film, but they all want paying. And that's why big budget movies are big budget, and that's also why they get done in a shorter time frame. Because one thing that I've learned for sure, and I'm sure you found this with both your films, is that when even if you're funded, if you're kind of doing this by pulling favors, and as we discussed just before we went live, is you're even looking for donations with regards to paying people who contributed to the film. It takes so much. There's so many disciplines involved, some that I didn't even know. I mean, I'm in primarily acting and then subsequently filmmaking, and thankfully Giles is more of a filmmaker these days than an actor, so he's aware of all the things that need to be done, and it just goes on and on and on, and they all take time, and most take money. And so I completely relate to where you're coming from on that. And again, it just heightens how impressive it is to have got 2 done. That's incredible. It's
beyond. And it's beyond. And the second one is a female driven comedy, so it's a completely off topic, but my writing partner and I wrote it over 12 years ago. And one of the storylines is inspired by my relationship with my father and how that affects me in my dating life. And the other one is how her relationship with her father and how it affects her in her dating life. And we've both lost our fathers since writing this. So it was unbelievably cathartic and wonderful to be able to make this movie and put it on the screen. And it's been magic.
That is incredible. It sounds like you're in alignment, very healthy alignment with the universe.
Yes, I definitely feel in alignment. And that movie's called Got Daddy Issues. So when that comes out.
What a great name.
Thank you. We're very proud of that title. Got Daddy Issues, like got milk. Yeah.
Here's a great question for you from Ariana. Do you have any other animals, and do they get on with Happy?
I do have another animal. He gets on with Happy, and I'm happy to go get him and show you. I have a panther chameleon who is one of the most beautiful species on this place. He's just lovely. And it's funny because I went to get Happy's worms where I buy his worms. And this panther chameleon, and if like chameleons are they're not friendly. They don't want to be handled. They're very solitary. He ran to the cage and like was putting his hands up on the cage. And I was like, well, that's weird. So everyone in line at the store was like, I think he's trying to tell you something. And I was like, oh no, definitely. He ran out on my arm and wouldn't get off my shoulders. So I brought him home that day. And so I have this panther chameleon who scratches to come to me. And it's going to sound so strange because I'm on a Facebook page with 35,000 other chameleon owners. He's potty trained. He scratches on the door for me to take him outside, and he poops in the garden outside.
Good Lord.
I did not teach him that. Every time he would scratch or I would see, I would kind of understand. And I was like, oh, do you have to go potty? And I'd bring him outside. And sure enough. Yeah.
How incredible is that? Again, but then again, there I am thinking, oh, how's that possible with a chameleon? But why wouldn't they have this kind of ability to communicate with us? And what is the dynamic between Happy and what's your chameleon's name?
His name is Valentine because he's such a love bug. So now I have Happy Valentine, which is kind of hilarious.
Valentine. How do Valentine and Happy get along?
So I don't really let them interact. So chameleons have a very long, very sticky tongue.
Yes.
That's how they eat. And if Happy's feathers blow in a way that looks like a bug or an insect, he could accidentally try and like grab him and maybe hurt his feathers or hurt him accidentally. So I I just don't like them to interact. There's also a germ thing. Happy couldn't get Valentine sick, but Valentine could get Happy sick. It's like
right. Makes sense. Yeah,
so
makes sense.
I keep them apart. They've been on one shoulder and the other. They don't care about each other, and Happy likes to bathe under Valentine's cage, and Valentine just watches him. But yeah.
Right. Interesting comment here from Linda. Long one here. I'll just read this through. Regarding therapy through animals, I was asked if I could take my cat to people with dementia. I've taken her to them, and it's amazing to see how the ladies and gentlemen of the home, one can see how she communicates with them, and she reaches the patients deep within them. Animals have more feeling. I agree. They see not only with their eyes. Completely agree with that. And it's, I don't know, well, I'm sure you are aware of this, Maria, but I just feel like that obviously is like a very hands-on, so to speak, case of that Linda refers to with a cat, as is the case with lots of therapy animals.
Yeah.
I even saw one recently with a horse being taken into a hospital ward. It would be fascinating to know, and the inevitability of this is absolute. That I wonder how many people have been touched in that way deeply by your story with Happy.
Oh,
because it will have happened, and maybe you know about some of it.
Yeah, I know that. I know a lot of people have been deeply touched. I get really beautiful messages continuously. And our call to action in our documentary is, are you listening? And it's not listening, it's listening with our entire being, because that's what I believe we should be doing a little bit more of on this planet. It's not only it's the world around us, it's what's going on. It's all of, we need to really be listening. The only way I communicate with Happy is through listening.
100%.
That's the only way I can communicate with him. There's no way for me to tell him what to do. I have to just listen to him and then go with what he does naturally. And that's how we speak. So when he understands words very well. He knows water. He knows, are you hungry? Wormy worm, nanas, sprouts. And when he hears what he wants, he taps my mouth when he hears the word of what he wants. That's how we communicate.
Isn't that incredible? I mean, how did you become aware of that when it first started? How did you just pick up on it pretty quickly?
I picked up on the fact that it's kind of, you go back to the roots, right, of animals. So the mom and dad birds, the adult birds feed the babies with their mouths. So Happy would instinctively see, because he's super smart, he would see as a baby where I eat. So he would come and like bite my lip or like. And so I just figured, well, if that's his way, that's him communicating. That simple act of him biting, that's him communicating. I want more food. So I started just saying the word of what it was every time I was feeding him different things, and he understood it.
How amazing.
Yeah. I can try and get him to, Bubba's, do you want a wormy worm? I know, kind of silly. He might be.
No, don't look. Wormy worm's popular. We can see that.
Wormy worms are popular. It's his favorite, but he usually naps midday because they tend to nap during the middle of the day. So he's probably.
So is he inside all the time? Does he ever go outside? Does he?
No, he won't go outside. So there's a few reasons for that. I was advised not to take him outside because there's predators and he could get lost. He could get spooked and fly up because he doesn't understand the concept of the sky. Like you know, if he goes up, like and a hawk tried to grab him through the bathroom window once, through the screen.
Goodness me.
Yeah, so I have chicken wire in my screens now. But he's so smart. If I open the front door, he won't fly out. He flies to his bedroom. He won't go outside. I accidentally walked out with him on my shoulder one time.
Did you?
Yeah. And because he's so small, and I just walked out onto my patio and I was doing something, and then he flew up in the air, and he'll do kind of like figure eights in front of a door when he wants me to open it. So he just started doing figure eights in front of the patio door. I opened it and he flew inside, but my heart was already in my throat.
Oh, it must have been terrifying.
I was so scared. I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah.
So you must have a pretty strict regime of opening doors and getting out without Happy being in the vicinity.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't want to go outside. He has no interest. So I understand it. I just always tell other people to be very cautious because they don't understand him the way I do. So. How
long has this been going on? When did you meet Happy?
I found him in 2020. So May 6th, 2020 is the day I found him.
I love it. And so we know he's just I wonder if
Yeah.
he's knocking on 5 now. He's coming up. He'll be 5 next year.
Yep.
How amazing.
Yeah.
I don't even want to ask how long sparrows live.
I knew that was the next question.
I don't think I want to know, and I'm sure you don't.
No, I do know. It's the first thing I looked up when I got home, and I was like, so when I got home with him. So there's a whole story of how I found him. I was taking care of him, and then I gave him to a rehabber for release.
Right.
I gave him away, and then cried like a 3-year-old driving home because I gave away the only sparkle of hope in my life at the time. I was devastated. But when I got him back from the rehabber, knowing I was going to take care of him for the rest of his life, so they were going to euthanize him because of his beak injury. And they said, unless you want to adopt him. So
needless to say.
I was there in 20 minutes. So
win-win. What an incredible strike. I mean, that's, believe in whatever people want to believe in, but the universe, to me, that's just incredible because that was game over for Happy had you not come along.
Yeah, and I wasn't feeling too great either. So it was
exactly. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Now, have you in your travels, the journey of finding Happy, which again, folks, by the way, folks, let me just share this with you while we're talking about this, because you want to check this out. findinghappythefilm.com. Is the trailer there too? Or is it just
I believe the updated trailer is on there. Is it? I'm not 100% sure, actually. It might not be. It is on on Happy's socials.
Yeah.
I don't think we put the trailer up on there. I may put it back up on there, but it is on his socials. I did post it.
Cool. Check it out, folks. Please do find the trailer on Instagram or on the website when it's there, because it's beautiful, and it's just so moving, and in such a wonderful way as well, because this is what I adore about the concept of the film, is the fact that you've experienced this incredible connection yourself with Happy, and then realized the profound power and nature of it, and looked to find other people who've experienced the same and make a film out of it. And what I'm really fascinated, without any spoilers obviously, because we want to get a lovely surprise in the film, were there any incredible anecdotes from the movie where you've met people with these sorts of relationships elsewhere?
Gosh, so many. I mean,
how wonderful.
Yeah, it's funny to me because it was just such a, I mean, we ended up going to Thailand and I interviewed Lek Chaler at Elephant Nature Park. They need a lot of help right now because they ended up underwater recently, and they need volunteers to help rebuild. But that was a magical experience. And Lek is just this magical little being who, as are all the beings there. It's a beautiful place. And just meeting people who have these bonds with animals. They've opened a part of their heart that to me makes them so beautiful. And so for me to meet people that I resonate with on that level was so wonderful. And there were so many. Every single person who has a story in the documentary has some magical thing that they say throughout that just I think will hit. And I think different things are going to hit different people. And in the end, it comes around to an even bigger message overall. So it's it has a very strong message.
Indeed. And for you guys, I'm sure you are aware of Lek. In fact, again, another amazing coincidence. Lek, you guys will probably be aware of a film called Love and Bananas, which is Lek's, or one of the stories that Lek shares about the rescues that she does with the elephants over there. And she's a hero. And we did a screening. I hosted a Q&A with Lek several years ago on a screening of Love and Bananas in London. And if you guys haven't seen that, check it out. We should find, actually, and I will while we're talking, I'll find the fundraiser for Lek, because you're right, she needs help right now. They've just had devastating floods. So I'll find that, we'll share that, and if anyone's got any, what to do. I'm always asking.
The time to go there. They just ask for volunteers on the ground, and I wish, my gosh, I wish that place, if you can take the time to help. Like, giving money is so important. When you take the time to help, it changes your heart in a way that is so beautiful. And if you have the time to do it, my gosh, I highly recommend going there and helping, because it will change you. It will change you.
Yeah, what I agree with you. The impact of that for them in the positive, and for you as a life-changing experience. And I feel like, and perhaps I'm wrong, but I feel like animals can do that on a level that nothing else in my life has ever achieved. I feel like it's the fact perhaps that when you give that to an animal, there can't be any hope of even a thanks. There can't be a hope of reward, because there isn't such a thing. It's in and of itself. It's the act itself. That's what it's for. And I think maybe that's what makes it so innately authentic and organic and just beautiful and profoundly life-changing, as you say.
Yeah. There's definitely something in giving without expectation, right?
Absolutely. Here's a question. I think it's Chiang Mai, isn't it?
It is. It's just outside of Chiang Mai. Yeah. So we flew into Chiang Mai. We spent a night there. And the reason we were able to connect with Lek and then fly out there and have her in the documentary is because my producer, Kelly King, had volunteered there years ago and stayed in contact with Lek. So that's how that happened. Right. And we show her in a really beautiful light too, because we show her laughing and playful and fun, and a lot of things that Lek does, or her work is very heavy. So when I was cutting together the film, that was an important part to show the happy.
Yeah, absolutely. And Lek's magical in that regard, because unlike some, which I'm not avoiding naming any. I don't know any of the names of places where there's that sort of the level of interaction that means it's no longer a sanctuary. Lek doesn't do that. Lek is very much about it's elephants being elephants.
Yeah.
Obviously cared for by people and dependent upon those people, but that's because of the history that they've endured. By the way, Alison, Chiang Mai is in the north of Thailand. I think it's Thailand's second biggest city, if I'm not mistaken, after Bangkok. It's up in the north. So it's beautiful jungles, mountain, and Chiang Mai is a big city, but yeah, it's easy to get to is my point. So do go check it out if you can. I just going to saw another question which I wanted to share on screen, but I just love how there's these connections as well. It's one of the things that, ironically, is a big challenge for us. Is evident here too, because we always have the same people, the same wonderful people on the broadcasts and with the fundraising and all of the screenings and the conservation related events that we hold. It's always this amazing circle of people, and we're always looking to get that. Looking to get outside of that, obviously. But I do at the same time absolutely love how we can just talk about two people who've never met before, and we're talking about Jim, who's your exec producer, who's in my documentary, and Kelly, who I know through Katie Cleary, who's also one of the EPs on my documentary, who I knew you'd know. And
she came here to meet Happy.
Really?
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. There we go. It's just, and I do love that, and it gives me hope. Always makes me feel, again, very much the basis of your film and how you felt that hope and wanted to be immersed in it and to share it. I find that with this group, this circle of people, because it does sort of restore your faith in human nature. When you know that all of these people they're literally dedicating their lives to doing good for animals, and by extension to all of us, I think, to society. So it is beautiful.
Yes.
How do you find, on that point, just as a sort of a sideline here, what's the response? Is this the first screening of the film tomorrow, by the way? Is this the premiere?
No, we've had, so the premiere was in Spain, and Kelly went. Yeah. I was in the middle of filming, and we won Best Documentary in Spain at this wonderful festival called the Love and Hope Festival. We've actually won 4 Best Documentaries, 1 Best First Time Film. We're winning some awards in the festivals we're in. Yeah, it's really fun.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful, and that's might go somewhere towards answering the question that I have for you, which is, with the film being very much specific to that connection between animals and people.
Yeah.
How have you found it in terms of getting people outside, the people who wouldn't refer to themselves as animal lovers, which is all of us? How do you find it in terms of getting reactions, or even getting it in front of those kinds of people? What sort of responses have you had from outside of our inner circle?
Lots, because I actually have a lot of, like, my circle is huge, and I don't like, I have a lot of vegan friends. I have a lot of, I have friends from across, like, across the scope, who are lovely
Right.
people, all of them. They all have beautifully amazing qualities. And one of the things that Finding Happy does not do is it does not judge who you are, what you're doing, or how you're choosing to live or eat, or it does not judge. There's no judgment in the film. It's sharing hope and kindness and bonding and connection. And so the people who see it, I've had so many people come up to me and be like, you just opened my heart in a different way, and I'm going to think about the way I live my life daily. That was so Gerard Butler, when he saw it, because I played Jerry's wife in a movie years ago, and there's a small clip of me and Jerry in the movie. So I messaged him. I was like, hey, Jerry, you're in my documentary. Just thought I'd let you know. And he was like, oh my gosh, you're right. I was like, he's like, can I watch it? So I sent him a link, and then his message back was, it's beautiful, inspiring, made me cry on more than 3 occasions, and really made me think about my life. And I was like, okay, wow.
Win.
Right. And that's as a storyteller, I don't have an agenda or narrative that's specific.
Right.
And I think that makes people feel much more comfortable.
Right.
And messages that way are much more receivable. It's why I like comedy, and why I like humor as well. Like, Got Daddy Issues sounds like a big comedy. There is so much heart. There is so many messages about how fathers affect their daughters. It's so important. These messages are so important. And there are ways to just, kind of tell these stories and get these messages out without being judgmental or telling people how to be or what to do. I don't like to be told how to be or what to do. I'm going to venture out on a limb and say the majority of people don't. So
vast majority.
Right. So I think if messaging is a little gentler, sometimes that can reach a broader audience. Because I agree with you that the messaging in a lot of films that have an agenda or a very specific narrative, it's harder to widen the scope of who you're touching and reaching.
Right.
Yeah.
I completely agree. Wholeheartedly. And it's actually ironically been something that's been a challenge from the outset with the film I'm making, because the film I'm making, very briefly, is called Food for Thought.
Yep.
And it explores the driving forces behind the global vegan phenomenon, if we can call it a phenomenon, in so much as the explosive growth of it over the last, let's say, decade at the most. And we just wanted to understand why. Obviously, unlike your film, well, where you described it as not having an agenda as such, where you're just saying, look, here's something that can give you hope. Who wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't want hope and happiness? But we set out to make the film Food for Thought as non-judgmental as possible for that very reason. And it's really hard to do, because obviously I can't pretend that I wouldn't love everyone to watch it and think, you know what, I will go vegan. Right. I will, because I'd love that, of course, because I want to save all the animals. But I know that if I say you should go vegan, you're right. Human nature, I don't even think it's the majority. I think it's probably everybody. Yeah. I think it's literally everybody, because it is human nature. It's inherent in us to just not react well to be told how to behave, what to do. Yeah. Who wants that? Even to the extent, I would say, that even if you know someone's right, you'd probably be a little bit resentful of being told and maybe resist it because of it.
Especially if you have any shame around your feelings for it. If you're like, gosh, I really wish I could. I wish that, it makes it even worse. And I mean, when talking about something like going vegan, for example, or like even just being a little kinder in your daily habits, whatever it may be, we're basically perpetuating the message that, hey, if you understand this, you'll have more compassion towards it. But if we're not willing to understand the people we're talking to and have more compassion for them, how on earth are we supposed to get the message across? We're breaking the system. So it's challenging. And I mean, I say I don't have an agenda with Finding Happy. I wanted to tell a story, but I do have a very clear message, which could be, I guess, an agenda in a sense, to just create a kinder, happier world for us within ourselves. And that is a narrative, definitely. So I think Yeah, I think stories should have a purpose.
I absolutely, and it's beautiful. It's what an incredible purpose, what a meaningful purpose this story has. And um, here's a really like a not curveball question, but completely off what we're talking about. How long did it take you to call him to realize his name was Happy?
Oh, pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Because his beak was growing in. So I didn't name him. I didn't play with him. I had him for 7 days and then gave him to a rehabber. And I was like, we're good. Like, I'm not naming him. I wanted what's best for him, right? Which would be ideally to live in the wild. But when he came back to me that day, I was just looking at him and I was like, oh, Happy. What a great name. Because his beak turned up and he really looked like he was smiling. So yeah.
What's the standout moment for you in your journey meeting other folks with the connection with animals? Is there one that you would just that really sort of blew you away and you thought, even you having developed a relationship with a sparrow, that you thought to yourself, how in the world did that happen?
Gosh, there was just so many moments that made up this like experience. It's almost like less a moment. It's more the string of what it is. And it's just these moments along the way that just kept blowing my mind. I mean, you know, in Dave's story with Sammy, with his animal, you know, he was telling me things and saying things to me that blew my mind. And also with Dave and his animal. I love Dave's story with a cow. Right. Because the way he talks and the things he says, and he's a very well-educated guy. So it was important for me to show like this really well-educated man has opened his heart in such a way where now he has a cow that's a best friend. I mean, it is phenomenal to me. And it's like what surprised me was actually even my reactions to it.
Yeah.
Because it's like someone says that my best friend's a cow, and it's like, oh, is it? However, if someone says my best friend's my dog, we have zero. It's so natural to just be like, oh, right, of course, like that makes perfect sense. They're man's best friend. Like we have told ourselves this story,
right?
And the magic moments for me were in where my perception of something, I was like, oh, wow, like that's how other people think of it. Like my reaction to that is very linear to how somebody else reacts to, yeah, but it's just a chicken, or it's just a, my reaction to those were the moments for me that really stuck out for me.
How beautiful. Did you find, because it's fascinating hearing about that, especially the way you describe Dave, his name was, right?
There's Dave, and there's Dave with Sammy, and Ryan with Jenna. Sorry, Ryan with the cow. Right. Yeah.
Because what I find something else that animals are incredibly powerful at is leveling. Because they don't, do you know what I mean? It's like they don't care if you're a billionaire or if you live on the street. In fact, you see a lot of homeless people with dogs, and the dog's not thinking, oh man, maybe I'll find someone who's got a nice house. And so they're utterly devoted and loyal. And it seems to me that animals have an ability to level the playing field with all of us in that way. And did you find there was a common thread in that sense in somewhere? And maybe that sense could be a broad spectrum of things, like the connection that you saw between them and the animal, or the ability they then had to express that in other aspects of their life that didn't matter where they'd come from. Was there like a common thread between those folks that you met in that way?
Yeah, there definitely was. It's subtle in the film. So if you're paying attention to the stories and hear the stories, then it'll click within you, like kind of in your soul. And yes, that's exactly true, Ariana, 100%. So the healing within the stories, within the film, and not only the healing, it's the ability animals have. And Happy did it for me every 20 minutes of every day from sunup to sundown when I was at my very, very worst and couldn't even get out of bed. What he did for me was have me drop right into the present moment and take the focus off all the crap that was in my brain, all the stories and narratives that were going on in my brain, and simply focus on him and make sure he was okay, because I had to feed him every 20 minutes of every day from sunup to sundown when he was a baby. So that gift of the present moment is one of the greatest gifts one being can give to another, because you're just there and there's nothing else. All the fluff and all the shame and the guilt and the fear all goes away in that moment when you're just completely focused, especially on another little being.
Right.
And hearing the stories in Finding Happy, you get that from each person. You get that. That's an underlying theme that's there from each person. So the healing power of animals, which is now being documented by scientists. And one of the very first person to say, yeah, they are super loyal and accept us. Yeah. Which is not what we all want. We all just want to feel accepted and loved, and animals offer that to us. That acceptance is huge. And Happy, if he hears me crying, he will come to my shoulder.
Oh,
yeah.
How beautiful.
Yeah. He will come to my shoulder. But yeah.
So,
yeah.
And you just said science is actually exploring this now.
Science is. So the first person, I was so excited about this. I was a biology major because I loved animals, and I refused to dissect them in my zoology class. And luckily I found a teacher who used biomounts. But the first person I reached out to after Jim Greenbaum came to me and said, I'd like to make a movie about you and Happy, because our story had gone viral and it was spreading a lot of love and kindness at a time that the world really needed it, and compassion. And so the first person I reached out to is an ecologist by the name of Carl Safina, who is phenomenal. If you have not heard his YouTube talk on how animals have feelings, I highly recommend it. Sylvia Earle quotes him when she speaks sometimes. He's phenomenal. I've always loved Carl Safina. And I emailed him during the pandemic saying, hello, I just was wondering if you'd like to be part of a documentary. Here's my bird. Here's and he wrote back like within a day saying, absolutely, I would love to. And I was like, oh, Carl Safina. And wonderful. He is one of like a grounding voice throughout the documentary. So, and I didn't answer you before as to where you can see it. Sorry, I just realized.
That's all right. We'll get to that. Maybe we should end on that so that people know exactly where to go when they want to see it after this interview ends. But what you were just talking about there with regards to their presence, they're present, or they. I mean, because when you think, and I've seen a couple of comments in the chat here alluding to this, is that the amazing thing is that for an animal, the idea of being anywhere but the present would be utterly incomprehensible and preposterous. It doesn't exist. They're only in the now. They don't think, other than survival, like, they're obviously thinking about the future abstractly, I suppose you could say, if they're looking to eat. But
they're still in the present, though. I think
they're still in the present.
They're still in the present.
They're not thinking about what just happened or what's going to happen.
We're the only species
they're just present.
Fear from just the thought alone.
Right.
We're the only species who does that, which is so crazy, right?
Utterly. And it makes you think how cursed we are to have that rather than to just be present. And then you want to get The Power of Now from Eckhart Tolle out and read that and be a bit more like an animal. But it's amazing to think that you're right with what you say, they require that of us because that's all they have. So they teach it to us by being it, like literally being what all they can be, and it brings that out in us. I agree with you. It's interesting because it's the first time I've actually sort of even given it much thought myself. It's just I explain it quite frequently just by saying, as I know people in this conversation completely understand, that just be in the presence of an animal, everything's fine. Like everything just fades away. Everything else just fades away. And especially if you make eye contact, at least for me, if I make eye contact with an animal, that's it. Nothing, the whole world stops existing. It's just that moment with that being.
Yeah.
And I think how powerful a teacher they all are to us, which is interestingly enough where you started saying that Happy's been your greatest teacher in life without speaking a word of English.
Yeah. That's the funny thing, right? And as a writer, I love words and I love storytelling so much, but I also understand their limitation.
Yeah. Yeah. We have, by the way, I just want to say hi to Rudy and Ingrid, who are from Belgium. They run an animal sanctuary, which I'm going to butcher the pronunciation. It's basically Nature Help Center, but it's in Belgium. Nature Help Centrum. And they're you guys are wonderful. Thank you for always joining us. They are surrounded by animals on a daily basis, thousands, literally. And I mean, we're talking about everything from. I had the great honor of and this is actually when we first met. I think Rudy and Ingrid was when the Born Free Foundation rescued King, the lion cub, from an apartment in Paris, France. And then eventually he was relocated to his ancestral home in South Africa at the Big Cat Sanctuary at Shamwari. Meanwhile, while he was waiting for all his documentation, he was with Rudy and Ingrid at the sanctuary in Belgium, which is where we went to get him to then take him to South Africa. So they have everything from rescued circus lions to squirrels and sparrows and pigeons and whatever else is local in Belgium. And it's just, we volunteer, we don't run it. Well, my pronunciation is good. Thanks, Rudy. Well, they volunteer their lives for the animals, and they're wonderful. They're in amongst the inner circle, as are all of you. So again, thank you for being here and engaging as you always do. But here's the best bit. Look, my pronunciation was good. Thank you.
Oh, wonderful.
But it's just incredible to feel that power of a being just being there. Like we had it in the process of making the documentary, just to sit in the presence of a cow, as per your friend with the best friend of a cow, and I can understand it. And the same with the chickens and the sheep and the dogs and the cats and the elephants, and they just have that ability to just ground you in that moment, because they have nothing but that moment. It's incredible.
Yeah, exactly.
Beautiful. I suppose we should tell people where they can see the film. Like, what's the plan for it going forward?
Gosh, so the plan. So it is interesting, because if you turn on things like Netflix, those platforms, they have so much stuff that is jarring, controversial. I mean, the amount of true crime and stuff that is, it's great, and there's a place for it and all of that. And I know, I've watched it, and but what's so fascinating is it's a little more difficult to get the hopeful, the happy stories out there. So what we are going to start doing is looking at distribution. We have producers who've watched the film and get so inspired, they want to come on and help. And so once we find the right home, then I'll be able to put it out there. It's going to be here. It's going to be there. In the meantime, we're going to keep doing festivals. So we started our festival run September 26th. So we just started our festival run. Because people will do a festival run for 1.5 years or 2 years. That is not our plan. Our plan is really to get it in front of as many people as we can. We have a few different options as far as how to do that. I would like to, selling to Netflix, they take the rights of what you've made and you can't do anything with it. But it's important for me to go speak at schools and be able to use this story. So I need to make sure whatever outlet we choose, that I can still do that. And then I can go to the UK and I can do a screening there, and I can go to schools. And so there's just a few things to figure out, but we're on it. We're on it.
Good. Well, I'll tell you one thing, as we talked about just before we went live, in fact, it won't come as a huge surprise to many of you guys listening. We'll make a screening happen in London for sure. Probably at the Royal Geographical Society, but Maria and I will talk about that offline and try and make that happen. But we've done it before, and we'll do it again. And this is just the perfect film to showcase, for good reason. You just said it. You want it to be in front of as many people as possible, and I know the reason you want that is because you know the impact it will have on them, and it changes the world. It changes people's lives, and that changes the world. And I think it's beautiful. So we'll do everything we can. And I would guess that nearly everyone, if not everyone on this chat, will be there, among others.
I love it.
So it'll be lovely. I know that we'll be longing to see it, and keep us posted, won't you? It'll be just incredible.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you follow Happy on socials, I'll be sharing updates for sure.
Amazing. Yeah. I hate it, because this is my least favorite part, is where we kind of bring it to an end. I don't want to. but we kind of have to. So just put, oh look, one in Scotland too, please. Let's do that.
Oh, that
You know
would be.
what?
You know what? You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna talk to Jerry about that one.
There you go. I'll tell you what, if you can get him to host it, I can guarantee you'll have a full house.
Well, I'll give it a go.
Let's see if he'll do that. But you guys, if you're not aware of who Jerry is, just Google Gerard Butler, and you will be aware of who he is and why it will be a sellout. Everyone would love to meet him. Thank you for this, Maria. You're not just busy raising well, you're not raising him anymore, are you? But
no,
you're a mum to a sparrow. Would you consider yourself mum or friend?
You know, it fluctuates between. I'm his just like any pet that we have. It's like we have a world outside theirs, but we are their whole world. I'm Happy's whole world. So it fluctuates between his best friend, his flock, and his mate during mating season, which is hilarious because we build a nest together every mating season. It's in the documentary.
I love it. That's so sweet.
Yep. He won't build it without me. He builds it with me. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so adorable.
It is a very, very special thing to have an animal want to build a home with you. It is other level.
That's next level. Am I allowed to ask if there's any of that in the film?
It is. Yeah. You see him building the whole nest and taking stuff. Oh yeah. Oh, it's all.
Oh my God. Guys, we've got to watch this film. We're going to have a screening in London, possibly in Scotland too, with Jerry. I'm on first name terms with him already, even though I never met him. But I mean, yeah, you're busy being many things to Happy, and not to mention 2 films. And it just means the world that you've taken an hour out of your day to talk to us. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And if anyone is looking for a children's book, Finding Happy the Sparrow is on Amazon. And it's amazing. It's a great way to broach the topic of grief with children, because it's gently done and it's a very happy story, and it's about finding happy. So yeah.
Right. Here's what I'm going to do. Oh, hang on. I've just started playing the trailer by accident. I'm going to find the link to this. Hold on one sec. Happy the Sparrow on Amazon.
It's called Finding Happy the Sparrow on Amazon.
I'm going to ping a, because what an easy win.
Yeah. It looks like
I'm going to put the link into the chat, folks, so you can see that.
Yeah. If you need a
love it.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Got it. eBay, Amazon. No, is that Amazon? No, here we go. I've got it. Amazon UK.
Yeah, you're in the UK. Wherever you. Yeah.
Yep. It thinks I'm a robot, so I'm just quickly adding a code. For some reason, come on. It still thinks I'm a robot. I got it right. I just want to put the link into the chat here. XTA. Bam. Come on. Continue.
Oh, here it comes. Oh, I scared him. Bubba's, come here. Do you want to?
All right, I'm going to put the link in for that, guys, because what an easy win. What an easy win.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, Happy. Come say hi. Come say hi before we go. Here we go, folks. I'm going to post the comment.
I'm going to grab his wormy worms.
In the chat, my friend.
There he is. Oh, there he is. See,
go for it. You're going to see in the chat now. Oh, there he is. Hi, buddy.
You saying hi, everybody? Oh boy,
buddy.
Did you wake up from your nap, buddy? Yeah. So I'll see if he'll do it. Do you want a wormy worm? Come here. Do you want a wormy worm? That's a yes. Do you want a wormy worm? Whoop. He has to poop. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Go poo-poos. Do you want a wormy worm? Or no? You still sleepy? Yeah. Let me grab one. I'll give you one of these if you want. Oh boy. You want a wormy worm? There you go. Did you see that? Do you want a wormy worm? Good boy. That means yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Good boy. You want a wormy worm? Nope. Don't go in there. He's going to steal it himself. He's very smart. You want a wormy worm? Good boy.
Oh, yeah. A little angel.
So that's how we communicate.
How incredible. Hello, Happy. You're a very, very popular boy. Do you know that?
He's more popular than I am. That's for sure. Right? Yeah.
I
And
think he's
that's
more
good.
popular than you and I put together,
He is.
looking at the numbers. But good luck to him. That's what I say.
Right.
Folks, I have put into the chat, and you'll see it's on my Facebook page. It's on Food for Thought Documentaries Facebook. It's on my YouTube channel. There's a link to Finding Happy, the children's book.
And if you do get it
Anthony,
and
you
like
win.
it, please leave a Amazon review, because that helps. It all helps me.
There we go. And what's an incredible, just a perfect gift for any kid.
Yeah.
And it's Christmas is just around the corner.
That's true.
So get your orders in on Amazon, folks. Oh my goodness, Maria, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to wrap this up, but when I do, don't disconnect, because you and I can have a chat after we're not live anymore. And I want to make sure that I give you my details so that we can actually make that London screening happen.
Yes, lovely.
I mean it. We're going to do that.
Awesome.
Folks, thank you for joining us. Thank you for your engagement. As always, it's just so lovely of you to engage and to share your messages into the chat, and share the video if you would be so kind. Share it on your platforms and get it out there, because people need to know about this film, and their lives will be changed for the better because of it. So it's everyone's a winner. Maria, you're wonderful, and we all love you. And thank you so much for sharing some time with us.
Thank you. And thank you all for sharing time with me and listening to me talk about a tiny little sparrow that changed my life. I very much appreciate everyone taking the time. Thank you.
It's a gift. It's an absolute gift. Thank you, folks. See you in a couple of weeks. I'll let you know when the next one's coming, and watch out for Finding Happy.
Perfect.
Good night.